beginning, the first principles or whatever of human history, and say,
right.
what is money? How did we get money? We all know that gold became money historically. And I put people like Ray Dalio in this group. Like, he gets money very deeply relative to most people. But when he looks at gold, his explanation for why gold became money is it has intrinsic value.
Right.
And that's a failing, in my opinion. There are specific properties that human beings demand in money. And I think that, for me, is the bottom of that question. It's like just explaining the properties people want in a money. And I've put it like this before, that we often talk about goods and services, distinguishing, say, the physical good, a shovel, for instance, versus the service, which is digging holes.
Right.
But it's ultimately what we're all ultimately looking for are services. Even the good itself, we only demand that good because the services it renders to us, or it can accelerate us towards the achievement of our aim, right? I can dig holes faster with a shovel than with my bare hands. So if you start to think of it in those terms, then it's all about services, even money. So it's like, what services do people demand from money? Another way of saying that is, what properties do people demand from money?
Right.
And again, this is a question, if you ask guys like Edstrom, right? He wrote a book on this with 14 properties of money.
Right.
You read the Austrians, they have 7, they have 10. It just depends what you read. I try to narrow it down as much as possible, and I got it down to 5. And this was influenced by an excellent book, actually, that's available free online, titled Honest Money by Gary North. Gary North just passed away. He's like a Christian libertarian philosopher. It's a free PDF on Mises.org. You could also buy it on Amazon, but he narrowed it down to divisibility, durability, recognizability, portability, scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first got into this Bitcoin media explanation of, like, talking about what is money and explaining the money in a historical context that was adequate to put Bitcoin in and have Bitcoin be understood. And I think that chain, that explanatory chain, was really successful, actually, because then you're like, oh, I get it. Gold was the most divisible, durable, recognizable, portable, scarce thing we had. That's why we demanded it as money. That's why it became money. You also understand what gold lacked, right, which was portability. Mm-hmm. Very hard to move gold across space, even though it holds value well across time, which explains why we abstracted gold into a paper currency, right? We're augmenting its transactability across space, increasing its portability. But that introduced the problem, right? We now need to trust the guy that's warehousing the gold, not to overissue the paper claims on gold. That was the ultimate honeypot for governments and central banks. Historically, it's become the most corrupt institution in the world, as we've talked about ad nauseum. And so it explains all that, just looking at the properties of money. And then finally, if you evaluate Bitcoin through that lens of the properties of money, you see that it's the most perfect money we've ever had. It perfects all 5 properties, so far as we can tell. I haven't been able to see a way we can improve any of the qualities of money that Bitcoin doesn't already